Good morning to all of you. I'm very happy to welcome all of you for this Engineering Drawing Concepts program on behalf of Make Way Academy. I'm very happy that some of my past students are also attending this program. So in this program, we'll be mainly discussing the concepts, the engineering drawing concepts. To start with, I'm going to tell you how I designed a dressing table stool for my wife. So a dressing table stool, it's a very simple object. Well, actually, it is made up of three pieces. The pieces were made up of plywoods, 20 plywoods. So I used these three plywoods and then I designed a dressing table stool. So I will tell you how I did that. We'll start by, going through that design process. How I, designed, how I made one dressing table stool. See, how do I start? Material first. I decided to use, what is the name of that material? Plywood, 20 plywood. And then I had to arrive at the size. Now I thought the top surface should be 400 by 300. This is 400, 300. 400, 300. This is the top surface. And then the thickness is 20 It's a 20 plywood. 20 And then it has to be supported. And then again, I used plywood for that. And then the height, I decided the height should be, 400 So I used two support plates, 400 This is one support plate. This is another. So this is my design. Design of that, it's dressing table stool. Dressing table stool. The overall height was 400 The length was again 400 The width, it was 300 So 400 by 400 by 3. Length, depth, and height. Length, depth, height. Length is 400, depth is 300, and then the height is again 400. Length is to depth is. You see, there are a lot of other things I need to tell you. We need to join them together. So this is a top plate made up of, plywood. I have got this. I have got them here. These are top plates. So 400 by 300. The thickness is 30 The top plate has to be fixed with the two other plates, supporting plates, we may call it. So how do I do that? So that's the question. So I used screws, wood screws for that. So these are the wood screws.
Now I made a clearance hole. So these are the clearance holes. How many holes I have made? 3 plus 3, 6. And there are three more holes are also there for another, strengthening plate. That's for another strengthening plate. So I have not shown that in the drawing, which is drawn on the board. So how many holes? 3 plus 3, 6 holes. And then screws. So these are clearance holes. So I say clearance holes because these holes clear these screws. They are slightly bigger than the diameter of the screws. So the screw easily goes through the hole. And then I will have to use a screwdriver or a drilling machine to drive them home. So how many screws are needed to support these two plates? 6 screws. And then I will have to drill clearance holes on the top plate. So this is one of the designs. When you design something new, there will be a number of solutions. A lot of solutions will be there. So you can use different materials. So instead of plywood, you can use wood, or you can use acrylic, plastic. So a lot of other materials can be used. And then the method in which they are joined, you can use a number of other methods. You can glue them together. You can use fasteners. You can use clamps. So a lot of different things are possible. Now, the drawing which I have drawn on the board, we call it isometric drawing. So in one drawing, all the three major dimensions are shown. The length of the equipment is shown, the depth is shown, the height is shown. So this particular drawing is called pictorial drawing, and there are a number of pictorial drawings which are used in engineering drawing. This one particular drawing is called isometric drawing. So this drawing actually is built on three main axes. So those three main axes are called isometric axes, and they are 120 degrees apart. So let me use a different color pen and show the axis. Is it visible? So these three axes, now I draw them here. These three axes are called isometric axes. They are 120 degrees apart. This is 120, 120, 120. The drawing is built on these three axes. So this is one kind of engineering drawing where we represent the object and then we show the dimensions, and then we can give, since it is a very simple object, we can give all the information about the object in one drawing itself. I have not shown the thickness. That can also be shown. We can also show the thickness. So this is the thickness of the plywood. It is 20 mm. And then I have not shown where exactly these two plates have been screwed with the top plate. That can also be shown. So 3 screws here, 3 screws here. So these are the location. Or you can actually show the screws. There are 6 screws. So this is one way of representing the object. isometric drawing. It is built on 3 isometric axes. Now, the other way, that is what is important in engineering drawing. The other way. What is the other way? We use more than one view. Here it is only one view. We use more than one view. We view the object from front, and then we draw the front view. We view the object from the top, and we draw the top view. And then we view the object from the left side or the right side, and then we draw the left side or right side view. So that is called multi-view drawing. That is what is used in most of the engineering drawings. That is what is used in industries. They use more than one view. So let me explain that in using this same example. So the dressing table stool. So how do I draw the views? Say I view the object from this direction, and then I draw the front view. So actually, mathematically, the object is projected onto the plane. So what I have to do is I have to keep a plane behind the object, and then the object has to be projected onto the plane. How is something projected onto a plane? Let me tell you this way. Imagine there is a point in space. So there is a point in space. I call it A, point A. How do I get the projection of the point A in a plane? So I keep a plane underneath. This is a plane. So since it is kept horizontally, I call it a horizontal plane. So HP is a short form for horizontal plane. Now, how do we get the projection of the point onto this plane? It's very simple. So what I have to do is I have to drop the perpendicular from the object to the plane. So this is a perpendicular. So I call this perpendicular line projector. So this line is called projector. The projector is perpendicular to the plane. The projector is a line that intersects the plane. Projector intersects the plane. Yeah, Shankar, you can ask your question. What's the question? Shankar, you can unmute and then you can ask your question.
Sir,
Yes?
please tell about the horizontal plane once again.
Horizontal plane. Okay, thank you, Shankar.
Locating the A point on planes.
Yeah, okay, I will do it.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, Shankar wants me to repeat what I have said just now. Actually, I was telling how to project an object onto a plane. So in engineering drawing, the whole of the whole concept is projection. So the objects are 3-dimensional. So the drawing paper is 2-dimensional. So we have to represent the 3-dimensional object onto the 2-dimensional paper. How do we do that? So we need to project. So I use that word project. So we need to project the object onto the planes. So in this example, I'm just telling you how is the point A, which is in space, is projected onto a horizontal plane. So this plane is kept horizontal. So I call it a horizontal plane. So this is point A, which is in space. Now, how do I project this point A, which is in space, to this plane? Very simple. the perpendicular line is drawn from the point A to the plane. That perpendicular line is called the projector. The projector intersects the plane. So this is the point of intersection. I call that point small a. So small a is the projection. So I use that word projection. So small a is the projection of capital A. So it's being a point, one projection is enough. So all the information I get by having this one projection. I got only one projection on the horizontal. So if it is an object, three-dimensional object, one projection will not be enough. So I tell you. So if you have any doubts, you can always stop me. You can raise your hands, and then the organizer will unmute you, and then you can ask your question. So for a three-dimensional object, one plane is not enough. I'll tell you why. So this is a three-dimensional object. A very simple object. So how do I get the projection? By drawing projectors. And I need also planes. So I use a plane. So they have kept a vertical plane behind the object. And then how do I get the projection? By drawing projectors. So these are projectors. So projectors have been drawn. So how many projectors? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 projectors. So this and the sixth projector overlaps. So as I said before, the projectors are perpendicular to the plane. The projectors are drawn from the edges of the object. The projectors intersect the plane. So I am going to mark the point of intersection. So this is one point. This is another point. This is one more point. One more point. Okay. I have marked all the points of intersection. Now I have to join them sequentially. So I got the projection now. So this projection, I have got the projection of the object onto this vertical plane. So I call this vertical plane. Now, I told you one projection is not enough. Why? Because by studying this projection, we know the shape of the object. Roughly, we get an idea of the shape of that object. We get the overall length, height, but the depth dimension is not here. So for that, we need to project the object onto one more plane. So that one more plane will be kept perpendicular to the previous plane. So I need one more plane. This is one more plane. And since it is kept horizontally, I call this horizontal plane. So now I have two planes mutually perpendicular to each other. Now what I do? I project the object in the same way to the horizontal plane. Now how do I get the point now? I'll have to come project from the front view. So this is the point. Likewise, this is the point. This is the point. These are the points. So I'll have to look at the points. That is very important. So these are the points. As I said before, the points have to be joined sequentially. So now I have got one more projection. So this is the projection obtained on the horizontal plane. We may call it horizontal projection. This is the projection obtained on the vertical plane. So you may call it vertical projection. The other name for vertical projection is front view. You can also call it elevation. Again, the other name for the horizontal projection is top view. You can also call it plan. Now I have got two views. I don't need the object anymore. The object is not needed now. So I have got the projection. Now what I do is I rotate the horizontal plane in the clockwise direction, 90 degree. So this plane, horizontal plane is rotated. So when the horizontal plane is rotated 90 degree in the clockwise direction, it becomes an extension of the vertical plane. So this is the vertical plane. This is the projection. This is the horizontal plane. This is a projection. So now they have become one plane. So actually we don't draw the planes. This is the concept behind engineering drawing. Projection, orthographic projection, or multi-view drawing. You don't draw the planes, but that is the basic idea. The objects are projected onto the planes, but we don't draw the planes. We draw only the views. So when we draw the views, we need to be careful with the proportion. Yeah, I'm drawing freehand sketches on the board. So you can also, practice freehand sketches on paper. If you have got a pencil, it will be very good. If you don't have a pencil, at least pen will do. And you can have a paper with you. And then instead of, you can practice. You can practice. In Tamil, they say, Chandamilum, Chandamilum, Napalakam, Chitramum, Kaipalakam. So the practice only will make us perfect. I told you, I started with stool for, dressing table. It's a very simple idea, that is very simple concept. I drew one pictorial drawing. So I had that in mind. Now, whatever you have in mind, you bring out in black and white. That is engineering drawing. So if you are skilled, if you are trained in engineering drawing, if you have an idea in your mind, you can share the idea with others by means of sketches. Now I drew one sketch, one stool, simple idea, one top plate, two supporting plates. And the top plates are screwed onto the two supporting plates. So you need to practice that. So whatever all of you will come, now ideas will come to all of us, but we need to, convert that idea into sketches. One thing, all created things have been created twice. The first creation takes place in the mind. The second creation is the physical creation. So all of us have got ideas. So we have ideas in our mind. But we have a difficulty in sharing the idea with others. We have difficulty in executing or realizing the ideas practically. So we have ideas about, work table, benches, cot, everything. We have it in our mind. But the problem is, since we are not trained in freehand sketches, we find it difficult. So freehand sketches are not difficult, in fact. Now, anybody who is interested, who is determined, can learn that. See, here, we don't draw them. We don't draw the planes. We draw only the views. And then by freehand sketches, the entire drawing, including assembly drawing, GD&T, everything can be drawn using freehand sketches. Actually, I teach drawing in my classes without instruments. I ask the students to come with a pencil and an eraser and a notebook. So you can teach drawing. So in freehand sketches, two things are important. You need to remember them. One is direction. The other one is proportion. So direction and proportion. So in this figure, this is 2. This is 2 units. This is 1 unit. This is 1 unit. So you have to draw a figure keeping that in mind. So how do I do it? I draw a straight line. See, I don't draw it in one attempt. The horizontal line is drawn by a series of short overlapping lines. So if you try that, you will do it. Don't try to draw it in one attempt. Series of short overlapping lines. Series of short overlapping lines. Anybody can practice. Series of short overlapping lines. So this is direction. Horizontal line should be more or less horizontal. Vertical line should be more or less vertical. That's the point, direction. The next one is proportion. So we need to maintain. This is 2 units. This is also 2 units. That means what? This and this should be of more or less of same length. So how do I do it? So I'm going to draw the views. See, I first I block in the views. So we use the term blocking. Blocking. So what is blocking? Blocking the views. What is that? So I have to block in the figure. How do I block in? So I have to construct a 2 by 2 square. So 2 by 2 square. So this is 2 by 2 square. So I have blocked in. The views. I think this red lines are not visible. So I use black sketch. I think it is visible now. So 2 by 2, 2 units. It's not a centimeter or millimeter. It is 2 units. That's all. This is 2 units. This is 2 units. Now what I have to do? I have to draw a horizontal vertical line. So what am I trying to do? I'm blocking in the views. I have blocked in the views now. Now I'll have to line in, block in, line in. So how do I line in? Simply darken the necessary lines, leave out the other lines. This is a necessary line. This is a necessary line. So this is the view now. It's a front view. We draw only the views. We don't draw the planes. Now the top view is drawn immediately below. That's an important point we must remember. Because the top view is projected onto the horizontal plane. The horizontal and vertical plane are mutually perpendicular to each other. So the top view is drawn immediately below. That is, the top view should come in between those 2 vertical lines. That's the idea. So extend these 2 vertical lines and then leave some gap. No, sufficient gap should be left between the views. So leave some gap, say 2 units gap, 2 units gap, and then draw a horizontal line. And then 1 unit. This is 1 unit. So 1 unit. Draw a horizontal line. And then project. So I am again using that word project. That's a very important word in orthographic projection. The object is projected onto the plane. We draw lines from the object to the plane. The lines are called projectors. The projectors are perpendicular to the plane. The figure which is obtained on the horizontal plane is called horizontal projection, orthographic projection. So the one view is drawn, the other views are projected from the view which is drawn first. I completed the front view and then I am projecting the top view from the front view. That's the idea. See, I am projecting. So now I have constructed the top view. I have blocked in the top view. I'll have to line in. Line in means I'll have to darken only the object line. So these are the two views. Front view and top view. But the drawing is not complete now. Why? The shape has been described, but the size is not. The size has not been described yet. So to describe the size, we'll have to give the dimensions. Again, in engineering drawing, there are certain rules one should follow in giving the dimensions. See, I have to use a dimension line. This is a dimension line. And the dimension line terminates with arrowheads. And then this is extension line. And then you have to leave a gap. The dimension line is perpendicular to the extension. The dimension, it's 2 units. So let me call it 100. 1 unit is 50 mm. So this dimension, again this is how much? This is 100, so this is 50. So the number has to be written parallel to the dimension line. And then again, the height has to be given separately. So this is how much? 100. So one more dimension is left out. That is the depth. So depth is given. How much? 50. Now all the dimensions have been given, complete dimensions. So the object is fully described. Anybody can make it. I have not told the material. So let us say it is made up of mild steel. Let us also add no finishing is required. So this is what. No dimensions. We don't worry much about the tolerances. What we say, overall we can say the tolerance. So what is tolerance? Anybody? Anybody wants to say? If you want, you can raise your hands. I want to hear from you. What is tolerance? Anybody is raising their hands? One is raising. So please unmute him and unmute the person. What is tolerance, sir?
Tolerance is from the is plus or minus. They will give some a dimension. It's maximum or minimum we are allowed to use. It's tolerance.
Very good. So he says it is a plus or minus. What else did he say? I didn't get it. Please unmute him and unmute that person. Yeah, please. What is tolerance?
Sir, in general way, we can tell us the total permissible error.
Yeah, total permissible error. Very good.
Error.
Yeah. See, in engineering, nothing can be manufactured to exact size. So I cannot manufacture this part whose length is exactly 100 mm. Nobody can make it exactly 100 mm. There will be always some deviations. So someone said plus or minus, correct? So what he means is 100 slightly less or slightly more. Say maybe 100.1, 99.9. So we give the allowance to the manufacturer. We tell the manufacturer that the part should be made, the length should be made such that it is in between, should be in between 99.9 and 100.1. So 100.1 is called upper limit, mm. So in engineering drawing, one thing you must know, if I don't give the dimensions, it is to be understood that the dimensions is in mm. So I don't give the dimension, so it is in mm. 100.1 mm. And then 99.9 mm. So this 100.1 mm is called the upper limit. 99.9 is called the lower limit. So the object should be made in between these two limits. So how do I represent this in drawing? 100 plus or minus 0.1. That is how I represent 100 plus or minus 0.1. Now it can be manufactured. Anybody can manufacture this. What they should do, they must see that the dimension is within these limits. If the dimension is within this limit, this is okay. Otherwise, not okay. It will be rejected. So the dimensions have to be given, tolerance has to be given, the material has to be told. Now here I have drawn only two views. I have drawn the front view, I have drawn the top view. So this is a simple object, two views will be sufficient. For some object, two views will not be sufficient to fully describe the object. So we may have to draw one more view. So one more view in this case is left side view. So the object is viewed from the left side and the left side view is placed on the right side. So a lot of people have got confusion. What confusion, you know? So whether it is left side view or right side view, that confusion they will have. So I have got three views. I call this front view, I call this top view, I call this left side view. The left side view is viewed from the left and projected onto the another plane, which is kept perpendicular to the two previous planes. So that's a three-plane concept. So in engineering, we use three planes, a horizontal plane, a vertical plane. The floor on which I am standing is the horizontal plane. The board behind me is the vertical plane. They are mutually perpendicular to each other. There is one more wall on my left, to my left. So that is called auxiliary vertical plane. So the front view is drawn onto the board. The top view is drawn onto the floor. The left side view. So you are the observer. The left side view is drawn, projected onto the wall which is on my left. And then that wall is rotated that way. So the left side view is placed on the right side or the front view. So this type of projection is called first angle projection. So in orthographic projection, that is in multi-view projection, we use two systems. One is first angle projection, other one is third angle projection. Some countries in the world, they use first angle projection. Some countries, some other countries, they use third angle projection. So one must be well versed with both the systems. The views are the same, but where they are placed is different. Suppose if I draw the same three views using third angle projection, what will happen is the front view, the top view will be placed above the front view, the left side view will be placed on the left side. And then they give symbols. So confusion should not be there. So in all the drawings, all the production drawing, so when you come across a production drawing, what you must immediately look for is the symbol. So you have got the drawing. So you look into the drawing and look for the symbol for first and third angle projection. So what is the symbol? So this is the symbol. So this is the truncated cone. So this is the truncated cone is kept like this. Truncated cone. So I have got a plane behind, and then it is projected. It is projected, and then this is a projection. And then I have got one more plane here, auxiliary vertical plane, and it is projected here like this. So this is front view, this is left side view. So this is first angle projection. So this is same. This is same. Front view is same. Where you place the left side view is important. If the left side view is placed on the right side, then it is called first angle projection. Yeah, that is one question. Yeah, you can unmute then
Oh,
ask
hello,
that
sir.
person to
Hello, sir. So
request that
actually,
person to ask that question. Yes.
I've read that second angle and fourth angle projections are not being used. Like they overlap. So can you like explain, because I actually had that doubt from very long time. So how they overlap and they not being used in engineering
Yeah.
drawings.
Okay, I will. The question is, so why say we use first angle projection, third angle projection? We don't use second angle projection.
Yes, sir.
Why? What is the reason? Now I will come to that question after finishing this. So here, the symbol is evolved from this truncated cone, tapered surface. So this is the truncated cone. This is the vertical plane. This is a vertical plane. This is the auxiliary vertical plane. So you project the, this is the projection. This is a projection of the truncated cone. This is front view. This is side view. So the side view, after projection, the auxiliary vertical plane is rotated that side. So this is the side view. So if the symbol is like this, then you can immediately know that the drawing is given in first angle projection. On the other hand, if the symbol is like this is the front view, the left side view is placed on the left side itself, then it is third angle projection. Now coming back to that question. The question is, so we use first angle projection, third angle projection. Why don't we use second angle projection? See, this is first quadrant. This is first quadrant. I extend the horizontal plane. I extend the vertical plane. Now I got 4 quadrants. This is first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, fourth quadrant. If the object is kept in the first quadrant and the views are drawn, then it is first angle projection. So I draw the views like this. So I got the views, and then the plane is rotated. Horizontal plane is rotated in the clockwise direction, 90 degree, so that it comes into extension with the vertical plane. So the top view comes below the front view. On the other hand, so this is the projection, third angle, right? This is the object. This object. This object, this is the projection. And then the top view will be projected here, somewhere here. Now you rotate the plane like this. So top view goes up. So that's the difference between the first and third angle projection. So in the first angle projection, top view is drawn below the front view. In third angle projection, the top view is drawn. This is the third quadrant, above the front view. The same way, in first angle projection, the left side is drawn on the right side of the front view. And in third angle projection, the left side view is drawn on the left side of the front view. Now, coming back to that question again, second angle projection. So this is a second angle projection. So if the plane is rotated 90 degree in the clockwise direction, both the front view and the top view will overlap. Okay. So you may ask, why not we rotate the plane in the other direction? You can rotate and you can use second angle projection, but it is not done internationally. Internationally, only first and third angle are used. They don't use second angle. They don't use fourth angle. Okay, coming back to this design. I started with dressing table stool, right? I think about the problem. And then I decided the top surface on which we sit should be 400 by 300. Now I only draw the top surface. So what I was showing before is pictorial drawing, isometric drawing. So I told you, isometric drawing is built on 3 axes, which are 120 degree apart. See, this is an isometric drawing. Is it visible? I'm using a different color. So these are the 3 axes on which we build the object. isometric drawing. So how do I build that object now? See, this is 2 units. This is 2 units. This is 1 unit. Now, how do I build it to the same object? And then I draw lines which are parallel to the isometric axis. The lines which are parallel to the isometric axis are called isometric line. So I draw an isometric line, another isometric line, another isometric line, slightly isometric line, isometric line, isometric line, isometric line. So I have drawn isometric lines. What is isometric line? Isometric lines are lines which are drawn parallel to any one of the 3 isometric axes. Now I construct. And then I line in. So this is the isometric drawing. So I drew the isometric drawing of the workbench, I mean stool, right? What is the dimensions? I hope you remember 400 by 300. The top plate is 400 by 300. Now I showed all the 3 plates together. I assembled them. See, this is the top plate. This is plywood, 20 mm plywood. What is the length? 400 mm. What is the width? 300 mm. So this is the top plate. And this is the supporting plate. So what is the size of the supporting plate? It is roughly 380 mm. And then by 300 mm. 380 by 300 mm. Again, the same thickness, 20 mm. 2 plates are needed. So what did I actually do? I assembled them. And I drew the drawing on the board. So that is called assembly drawing. So assembly drawing tells us how the various parts are assembled. So a particular location, this has to be kept at a particular location. What is the exact location? This location. About 15 mm from this side. It has to be located. So where exactly it is located, there are 3 pieces. How they are assembled, how they are located with respect to one another. That is one question you will have to, you will get the answer from the assembly drawing. One more question, how they are actually fitted together. That is another question. So here I have used wooden screws. How many screws? 3 screws for this. Only 3 screws. And then how did I do it? I made clearance holes. So I have opened 3 holes. So whenever I open holes in a component, I will have to tell where the hole has to be drilled. So I will have to give the location of the holes. Now let me draw the top. Let me draw the views of this top plate. So the top plate has got some details. How many holes are there to support these 2 plates? Fix these 2 plates, 6 holes. So I'll have to show them. Let me do it. So what's the size of the top plate? 400 by 300 mm. 4:3, right? So I'm going to draw the top view. Only one view I'm going to draw. So 400. So I draw a horizontal line. I draw a vertical line. And then I mark a point here. And then I say it is 400 mm. So this is 400 mm. I divide this into 200 each. And then I divide this further into 2. So 100, 100, 100. So I have a scale, 4 units. I can read from 1 to 4. So what is the width? 300 mm. So this is 1, 2, 3. So this is the top plate, 400 by 300, 400 by 300. Don't worry about the haziness of the line. So as I said earlier, what is important? In freehand sketching, two things are important. What are they? Direction, proportion. So what is direction? Horizontal line should be more or less horizontal. Vertical line should be more or less vertical. What is proportion? 400 by 300. So 300 must be 3/4 of 400. So 4:3. That is the proportion. Now, I will have to locate the holes now. I have to draw, I have to drill 6 holes. So it is exactly about 25 mm from this side. So this is how much? 100 mm. So again, so the hole is located 25 mm. How many holes are there? 3 holes. So this is 1. Three holes. So what is the size of the hole? 6 mm. 6 mm holes. 6 mm, 6 mm, 6 mm. These are the 3 holes. So likewise, there are 3 more holes here. 6 mm, 6 mm, 6 mm. So line in, line in, line in. I will have to give the dimensions now. How much it is? This is 100. 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100. And then I will have to give the overall, sorry, 300. So it is 75, 75, 75, 75. This is 300. 300. And this is 25. This is already given. This is again 25. 25. The overall length is 400. What is the thickness? Thickness is, I draw the side. Thickness is 25. So this is the top plate. So I have to make this plate. If you have a drilling machine, you can readily make this plate. 400 by 300. And then the holes are, so how do I mark the holes? How many holes are there? 6 holes. So what is the diameter? Diameter is 6 into 6 numbers. So the holes are located. So almost all the information is given in this drawing about this plate. So this plate is made up of, what is this? Plywood, 20 mm plywood, 20 mm plywood. So this drawing is here. I prepared only freehand sketches. That is more than sufficient. So I need, this is the detailed drawing. So this stool is made up of 3 pieces. One piece is already drawn. The other piece, in the same way you can draw. Other piece actually, we don't need any holes. So what I do, I simply keep this other plate here and then I screw them. That's all. I use 3 screws. That's all. So what is the dimensions needed? Simply length, width, and the thickness. So there are 2 plates which are exactly same. So I don't need to draw the third plate. I can simply say 2 into 2. That's all. So the detailed drawing is over. The assembly drawing, I have not drawn. I drew the isometric view of the assembly drawing. That is also allowed. Or you can draw the orthographic views of the assembly drawing. Very simple. So what will be the front view? Very simple. The front view will be like this. See? This is a front view. What is the top view? This is the top view. Where are the holes? There are 6 holes. This is the assembly drawing. Now, I'll request my friend to assemble the 3 pieces together. And then as he assembles, we'll take 2 minutes break. I will show the assembled stool. Okay. And then we will continue with other things. We'll have 2 minutes break. Hello. Now I have got the 3 pieces assembled together. Question, huh? Yeah, please. Okay, if you have got any questions, you can always stop me and then we'll unmute you and then you can ask your questions. So I want the program to be interactive. So please ask questions whenever you have questions arise in your mind. Any questions? Say I have assembled them together. So only 3 pieces. So this is a stool, dressing table stool. It's quite strong. To increase the strength, I have used one more piece. And then that piece will come in between these two. One more piece. To increase the rigidity, one more piece is used. And then I have used the bushes, plastic bushes. So these are the bushes underneath. So 4 bushes. 4 bushes are used. Okay, plastic nylon bushes. So that the stability is improved, and then the wear and tear of that plywood will get reduced, and then the surface, the floor surface will not get spoiled. So I have used 4 nylon bushes, and then the 4 nylon bushes are fixed with the supporting pieces again by means of wood screws. So these are only the necessary things which have been used in this design. And then I have improved the finish by using spray paint. I had a blue spray paint, so I used that. So this is how this stool has been designed. Now, before I'm going to stop the stool now, stop talking about the stool, and then I'm going to go to the next subject. Before that, if you have any doubts, you can ask me. So I'm sure you can definitely make such small things for your own home, provided if you're good at freehand sketching. And then you may be wondering where I got all these pieces. There are people in various places where you can go and order the pieces. So I wanted a 400 by 300, one piece. And then the other pieces are 400 by 300. 400 by 300 is one piece, and the other piece is 400, slightly less, 380 by 300. So 3 pieces only. So I got them ordered. I went and then got it cut and then brought it. I have a drilling machine at home, so it won't cost you more than 2,000 rupees. And the screws can be bought, available everywhere. And then you can make your own stool as per your liking. You go to a shop, you'll have to get what is available. You have to buy what is available. Whereas if you are good at designing, you can build your own things, design and build, to design and make. So you first visualize. So you see this tool in your mind's eye. You see this tool in 3D. And then you convert them into drawing, 3D drawing or 2D drawing. And then you give the dimensions. And then you make it. It is quite possible. So you can make a mobile stand using acrylic. Very easily it can be made. A lot of other things you can think of. See, what you need to do is you need to draw a simple freehand sketches. And then you need to you need to have some knowledge about fastness, how they are fitted together. What are the different ways by which it can be done? Okay, now we will move on to the next topic. That is, I'm going to take some vision objects, vision elements. So I'm having one component, one object in my hand. So it is a hydraulic cylinder. So it withstands roughly 50 bar pressure. So a hydraulic cylinder, what happens? If hydraulic oil is supplied at this port, what happens is piston rod extends. And then the hydraulic oil is supplied at this port, and if the hydraulic oil is allowed to escape from this port, piston rod retracts. So what are the components, major components? Actually, there are 4 tie rods. I have removed them already. So these are called tie rods. So these end plates, and then this is the cylinder, piston rod. They are clamped together using tie rods. I have removed them. And then this is the end cap. This is the piston rod end support. This is the important part of the cylinder. It is the piston. This is the piston rod. Piston. This is the cylinder. This is a very important part of the whole device. So I'm going to talk about the cylinder. So this cylinder is a hollow cylinder. It has got 3 dimensions. What are they? The OD, outer diameter, ID, internal, inner diameter, and then the length. These are the important dimensions. And then this has to be made, in a mission. This has been made in a mission. They can even make this in a lathe. Okay, cylinder lathe is mainly used for producing cylindrical surfaces. Now we will see how this part is drawn. So I want to manufacture this part. So what are the information has to be given? That is one thing. Another thing is how actually it is made. What is the principle behind the manufacture of a cylinder? What is the principle behind the manufacture of a cylinder? The cylinder actually is an important component in engineering. The cylinder has got an axis. So mathematically, if it is a right circular cylinder, how do you define the axis? The axis is an imaginary line passing through the centers of the 2 bases. This is a base. This is a base. Base is a circle. The center of the circle. And again, the center of the circle. The center of the 2 bases. If you draw an imaginary line passing through the centers of the 2 bases, then that imaginary line is called the axis. This is the center, this is the center, this axis. So axis is perpendicular to the base. Now you can define the position of the cylinder with respect to the axis. With respect to the axis, the position of the cylinder is defined. And then if you want to be very specific, if you want to fix the cylinder in space, you need 3 planes, a horizontal plane, a vertical plane, and an auxiliary vertical plane. Then you can fix the position in space with respect to those 3 planes. So let me say, a cylinder, say this is 40, this is 80. Let us say this is 40, 80. A cylinder of 40 mm diameter and 80 mm length. The cylinder is fully defined because it is a mathematically perfect cylinder. Let us assume. So a cylinder of 40 mm diameter and 80 mm length is resting on the horizontal plane with its base. The axis is 40 mm from the vertical plane and 40 mm from the auxiliary vertical plane. Draw the views. So this is a question. So what did I tell you? Axis. You'll have to define the position of the axis now. The cylinder is resting on the horizontal plane. It is like this. So I have a horizontal plane. So horizontal plane. So it is resting on the horizontal plane. So when a cylinder is resting on the horizontal plane with its base, the axis will be perpendicular to the horizontal plane. So this is the position of the cylinder. It is resting on the horizontal plane with its base. So what is the top view? The top view is a circle. Now what is the front view? The front view is a rectangle. What is the side view? The side view is also a rectangle. So I am defining the axis with respect to the 3 planes. So this is the vertical plane, horizontal plane, auxiliary vertical plane, and this is the axis. So AB is the axis of the cylinder. The axis is an imaginary line. So the cylinder is like this. I am interested in the axis. So I have positioned the axis with respect to the three planes. So the axis is perpendicular to the horizontal plane. When it is, since it is perpendicular to the horizontal plane, it is normally it is actually parallel to the other two planes, because the planes are mutually perpendicular to each other. Now the views. So what are the views? This is small ab. This is a comma b. So I have drawn the top view and the front view. The top view of the axis is a point. The front view of the axis is a straight line. That straight line is perpendicular to the reference line xy. So what is reference line? So I told you in the beginning. So in engineering drawing, we use imaginary planes, horizontal and vertical. So when you view it from here, supposing this is the front view, so this horizontal plane will be viewed as a straight line. When you view it from the top, this line will be viewed as a point. Okay, and this line represents horizontal plane in the front view, represents vertical plane in the top view. So these are the planes. So this is vertical plane. This is horizontal plane. So this line represents both vertical as well as horizontal. So I call this reference line. I draw only that line and then I don't draw the planes. You got it? So why I am interested in the axis is, so in engineering drawing, in production drawing, whenever there is a shaft means cylinder, a pin, a cylinder again, the axis has to be shown. And whenever there are holes, the center of these holes are represented by circles in some views. So when you represent the hole as circle in a particular view, you will have to locate the center of the circle. So for example, I have got this plate, which I'm having in my hand. This is 120 mm. The size of the plate is 120 mm square. So the a hole of 60 mm diameter is machined at the center. Now, what is the top view, front view? In the front view, so I keep it like this. So in the front view, the hole is seen. This hole is represented as circle. So let me draw the front view. So this is the front view. This is 120 by 120 mm. So I have to locate the center. This is the center. These lines are called center lines. They are very, very important in engineering drawing. So whenever a hole is drawn, so a hole has to be drawn now. Diameter of the hole is 60. This is 120. So midpoint. And then how do I draw the hole by freehand? Only two strokes. This is one stroke, this is another stroke. So how do I draw a circle? One stroke, another stroke. How do I draw the circle? One stroke, another stroke. How do I draw a circle? Very easy. You can practice. So I have drawn the circle now. What is the diameter? 60. Diameter is 60. Now, as I told you before, so nothing can be manufactured to exact size. Okay, so we'll have to give the tolerance. So I say 60 H8. Now I request my friend to project what is H. See, H8, just a minute. So I say 60 H8. What does it mean actually? H8 represents tolerance grade. For a 60 millimeter diameter hole, what should be the tolerance? So 60 comes in between 50 and 65. 50 and 65. So H8 is in the top. So you see 0 plus 46. So it is given in the chart. 0 plus 46. 0 plus 46. What does it mean? The upper limit is no variations. That is exactly 60. Sorry, the lower limit is 60. Upper limit is 46 means what? 46 microns. What is 1 micron? 1 micron is 1/1000 of a millimeter. So that is 0.001 mm. 1/1000 mm is called 1 micron. That is equal to 0.01. So what is 46 microns? 46 microns is equal to 0.046 mm. So 0.60 H8, what does it mean? The upper limit is 60. Sorry, the lower limit is 60, the upper limit is 60.046. So this is called hole tolerance, the size tolerance. The size of the hole should lie between 60 and 60.046 mm. No, that's enough. Okay. 60, see, size of the hole is 60, lower limit is 60, upper limit is 60.046. The hole should be made within that tolerance. So what they do is the hole can be opened in a drilling machine. So in a drilling machine, a rotating drill, opens the hole. But a drill will not be accurate enough to produce a hole whose tolerance is only 46 microns. So you'll have to use a reamer. What reamer you'll have to use? 60 H8 reamer. So 60 H8 reamers are available. So you'll have to open the hole slightly undersize, say 59 something. And then you'll have to use the reamer and finish the hole. So once the hole is finished by using that H8 reamer, 60 H8 reamer, the hole size will be within this tolerance. Okay, the size tolerance is understood. Now location. So you cannot locate the hole exactly at the center. So actually, you can say this 60 plus or minus 0.1, 60 plus or minus 0.1. But normally in engineering drawing, in production drawing, they don't do this way. So plus or minus some tolerance will not correctly locate the hole. So to correctly locate the hole and to give tolerance. So here a tolerance is given. Location tolerance is plus or minus 0.1 as per this drawing. But normally they don't do this way. So how do they do it? They use geometrical dimensioning and tolerance. Actually, I'm going to tell you how they use GD&T and locate the hole. Locate in the sense, so the hole cannot be located exactly at the center. Using GD&T, they give the tolerance, they locate the tolerance zone. And then the manufacturer should see that the axis of the hole is located within the tolerance zone. The tolerance zone is defined and
located with respect to data. That is GD&T. So actually, we are planning to conduct a 2 days program on GD&T in the coming weeks. So where I will be covering the entire GD&T, and if you are really interested, you can register for that course, GD&T. The course name itself is GD&T. Now I'm going to tell you how that requirement is shown in the drawing. So the requirement, the tolerance of that hole, the allowable locational tolerance given by the designer, the design intent, how it is represented by using symbols. So they use some box dimensions here instead of the tolerance dimension. They use box dimension. So this is 120. So this is 60. This is also 60. So here you see the dimension is written inside a box, and this dimension is known as box dimension or theoretically exact dimension. The theoretically exact dimension is measured from the data reference frame. What is the data reference frame? A theoretically exact 3-plane system, a horizontal plane, a vertical plane, and an auxiliary vertical plane. So the 3-plane system concept is an important concept in engineering drawing. The designer uses that and clearly communicates the design intent. The manufacturer understands that. And then he uses again the 3-plane system in the machine, CNC vertical machining center, a horizontal plane, a vertical plane, and an auxiliary vertical. The 3-plane system is generated in the CNC machine, and the part is machined. Once the part is machined, the inspector checks whether the part has been made as per drawing or not. Again, he also uses the same 3-plane system. The name of the 3-plane system is DRF. DRF. What is DRF? Datum reference frame. So a lot of people don't understand this concept, DRF concept. So they have trouble in reading the engineering drawing. They don't understand the design intent, what the designer intends. They are not able to understand. So we need to understand, it's a very important concept. It needs some time. That is the reason why we are planning to organize a 2 days program where all these will be covered in depth. So now I tell you how the hole is located using this DRF. See, the object is oriented onto the DRF. And then measurements are taken from the DRF. That is this measurement. So here is a plane. So the measurement is taken from the DRF, not from the part. Parts are imperfect. DRF is perfect. That's the idea. So the measurements are taken and the tolerance zone is located. Say here they give. See, this is position. So the position of this hole is controlled. That is the symbol. There are only 14 symbols. And then this is the tolerance, diameter 0.1. This is the tolerance zone. The tolerance zone is a cylinder whose diameter is 0.1. And then these are the data, A, B, and C. So the tolerance zone is located using DRF. What is the tolerance zone? Cylinder. What is the diameter? 0.1 mm. What is the depth? Depth of this object. So this is the depth. This is the thickness. Okay, let us say this is the thickness of the object. So what is the tolerance zone? Tolerance zone is a cylinder. Though this is a cylinder, diameter 0.1. This is the cylinder. What is the diameter? 0.1 mm. What is the length? Length of the part. So this is tolerance zone. So that is what he says. The hole is positioned in a cylindrical tolerance zone of 0.1 mm diameter with respect to datum A, B, and C.
I have not shown the datum here. The datums are simulated using the surfaces of this part. The datum is perfect. Parts are imperfect. So what does it? How do you read this? This is called feature control frame. The hole is positioned. This position symbol. The hole is positioned to a cylindrical tolerance zone of 0.1 mm with respect to datum A, B, and C. So the hole the axis of the hole means axis. The axis of the hole must lie within this tolerance zone. The tolerance zone diameter is 0.1. So it can shift. The orientation can also be vary. It need not be perpendicular. This axis need not be perpendicular to this surface. Okay, now we are through with this. Now we have a few more minutes. I take this. So in the communication sent to you, we have I have told that one more subject, fits and tolerance, will be covered. So many of you will be interested in that, I think. Fits and tolerance. So I have got a hole. This is a hole. I have got a shaft. This is a shaft. How is the shaft fitted? What is fit? The relationship between the mating parts. So that is fit. So this fit is called clearance fit. We may call it a loose clearance fit. So what is clearance fit? The shaft hole. The shaft is smaller than the hole. So you must remember, the shaft and the hole are made within limits. You cannot exactly manufacture at a particular dimension. They are made within limits. Now I call one particular fit H8F7. Wait a minute. H8F7. So the fit between this hole and this shaft is, I say H8F7. That is the fit. So H8F7 is a clearance fit. H8 is the tolerance grade. This is 30 mm. This is, yes, 30 mm. This is 35 mm. Actually, this 35 mm diameter. So 30 to 40 we'll have to see. We've displayed one, we projected one chart, between 30 mm and 40 mm we'll have to see. H8, what is H8 tolerance for? 35 mm hole. That we'll have to see. And then again, this is 35 mm shaft. What is H8? What did I say? H8 F7. This is F7 shaft, small f. H8 F7. Just a minute. So the subject we are in is fits and tolerance. That is one hole. This is a hole. This is a hole. What is the size of the hole? 35 H8. This is 35 H8 hole. This is shaft. What is the size of the shaft? Again, 35 F7 shaft. F7 shaft. So now you have to see the chart, and then you'll have to tell me the tolerance. What is tolerance? Limit, allowable error. See, upper limit, lower limit. Now please project the chart. Yeah. Now, can you see that? H8, 35, 30 to 40, H8. Yeah, H9, H8. How much it is? 30 to 40. 39, correct? 39 microns. H8 hole is 39 microns. So 0.039. So what is the lower limit? Lower limit is 35. What is the upper limit? 35.039. So upper limit, lower limit. This is this hole. So this is the tolerance. So this is the upper limit, lower limit. So what is the lower limit? Lower limit is 35.00. What is the upper limit? Upper limit is 35.039. That is the upper limit. So 0.039 is the tolerance for the hole. The tolerance for this hole is 0.039. It is a H8 hole. The tolerance for the shaft is F7. Again, project. So what is F7? Minus 30. So 35 F7. So minus 30 minus 60, correct? Minus 30 minus 60. So the minus 30 is 30 microns. So what is the shaft? Lower limit is 34.970. 34.930. This is upper limit. This is 964. This is lower limit. Upper limit, lower limit. So the upper limit of the shaft, is less than the lower limit of the hole. So if the upper limit of the shaft is less than the lower limit of the hole, then a clearance fit will result. So normally, just to help you understand, I am using upper limit and lower limit, but in engineering drawing, in geometrical dimension and tolerance, they use maximum material condition, least material condition, MMC, LMC. What is MMC? Maximum material. See, when the shaft is made to limits, what is the maximum material possible? That is 34.970. That is the maximum material possible. If it is 34.971, it will be rejected. Again, what is the lower limit for the shaft? It is 34.940. If it is 34.939, it will be rejected as far as the shaft is concerned. So as far as the shaft, the maximum material condition is the upper limit, and the least material condition, it is lower limit. On the other hand, for a hole, see, the hole is made like this. This is the tolerance. This is the lower limit. This is the upper limit. So what is the lower limit? 35. What is the upper limit? 35.039. So when the hole is made at the lower limit, maximum material will be left on the job. As far as a hole is concerned, the maximum material condition, MMC, is the lower limit. And the LMC is the upper limit. When the hole is made at the upper limit, least material will be left on the job. So in terms of MMC and LMC, how do you define the fit? The clearance fit is obtained when the maximum material condition on the shaft is less than the maximum material condition on the hole. I repeat, the clearance fit. So this is a clearance fit. The clearance fit is obtained when the maximum material condition on the shaft is less than the maximum material condition on the hole. So what I have is a clearance fit. Okay, I want to stop now. If you have any questions, you can ask. If you don't have any questions, I will summarize in 1 or 2 minutes, and then we will call it a day. Okay. And then please remember Makeway Academy. So we'll be doing a lot of such programs on various subjects. Continue to follow us.